All right. So hi, this is Celeste D-Sides. I'm Rubydrag0n.
I'm Luke.
I'm Modbot.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, these are my co-commentators. So because it's like sometimes a bit hard to follow in the run, we are going to show like a few of the most essential stuff you can do in the game right away. So yeah, I mean it's a 2D platformer, so you can jump, like very basic. You can dash in 8 directions, and you can grab and climb. So like one thing we use a lot in this run is neutral jumps. So what you can see here is I can still like gain height on one wall without even having stamina. So you can just climb a limited amount of time. Then another thing we use a lot is hypers. So if you dash down right into the ground and then jump afterwards, you get like a lot of speed. Yeah, then another thing we see a lot is these crumble blocks, and they have like the basic ability. They're like, yeah, they crumble away, so you can like use them forever, and then they respawn. And like an important part in this run is that you, they basically they go away faster if you stand on top of them. So as you see, like as soon as I jump off them, they're gone. And when I grab them from the side, I have like a lot of time to actually use them. So that's like very helpful in this run to like grab them from the side first. Alright, yeah, that's a snowball trigger. That's gonna be explained during the run. Then here's a little thing that's quite interesting in the game. You can do a crouched dash in the air, which like I guess wasn't intended at first, but so yeah, you can if I get it, you can like dash through some spikes here. Yeah, like
nice.
this.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean this is a very easy one, so it's just a show.
We don't need to know that.
Yeah, then there's stuff like corner boost, so you can like go with speed into a corner and then jump, so you get a lot of speed. And yeah, is there anything I missed?
Wall bounces.
Wall bounces, all right. So like when you dash into a wall from down below, you can like jump on it and gain a lot of height. So yeah. And like there's a lot of more stuff, but that's gonna be explained during the run. And like I'm gonna like not talk a lot during the run because I like, need to concentrate. So
I think pretty much the best summary always is there's like 10 ways to cancel your dash in some way in this game.
Yeah, like you can also do like supers and whatever. Like
you can cancel horizontal, you can cancel vertically. Here's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That's gonna be at the end, I think. So that's awesome that that was met.
Should be pretty interesting to see.
So, all right. I guess we can start in this. I'm gonna rename to like ESA 2020 because we can. All right. So nice. I guess time's gonna start when I press begin. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Cool. Yeah, so we begin obviously in Prologue, no dashes. However, we can use that block to get some speed. Shout outs to blocks that move to the side. So this is the first spike jump you have to do. So you have to jump off there. It's worth mentioning what we're running here are custom levels. They're pretty similar to Kaizo if you're familiar with that. So they're a lot harder than the base game. And there's a few trolls, there's a few tricks. And yeah, basically going to be pretty difficult. They're made by Moni, formerly known as Name Guy, so shout outs to them. And yeah, that's the prologue. We now technically have our dash. We skipped the cutscene where it actually gives it to us, but we now have a dash, and now we're into 1D. So this screen is one of the hardest in 1D, and a lot of casual players, when they first encounter this, spend a bit of time in it, probably like 20, 30 minutes trying to figure out how to do it. So Ruby gets a second try, quite easy. Going to see here that he's using stuff like wall bounces, and there's going to be very tight sections of jumps. Have to manage the stamina and stuff like that as well. So yeah. But yeah, basically these are going to be hard levels, a lot harder than anything you're seeing in the regular game. That room, he kind of cheesed most of it. You're meant to do stuff. There's more wall spike jumps here. Most of these are set up. You can see the wall kind of setting you up. This one, though, is not set upable. And so shout outs. Nice. Good work on getting that. Ooh.
Also, I guess we never explained it, but I suppose the idea for these levels is, you know, there's A, B, and C sides for each chapter in the base game, and obviously D sides will be next ladder, so D side remixes for each chapter.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's going to be, obviously there's Prologue, this is Chapter 1, there's going to be 1 through to 8. Chapter 9, the Farewell level, is going to get a new one coming out at some point soon. We're going to see a preview later. And, oh, that wall bounce is really hard. I think it's a couple frame windows to actually get it, so nice work. That's actually the hardest room in 1D, in my opinion at least.
For sure.
Yeah. So you can see here that like you're not actually meant to really do wall bounces or hypers or anything like that. Ruby's like going a lot faster than you would normally. He's also going deathless, which, you know, saves a lot of time. Dying in these rooms costs, you know, 10, 20 something seconds. And here's the big yeet. Nice. Easily gets it. Yeah, so you use the momentum off the traffic block in the previous room to give you a heap of speed, and then you can ultra in that last room and get all the way to the end, skipping basically the entire fin. Oh, nice. Okay.
Nice.
I'm just going to take it safe.
So at the end of each chapter, there's going to be one of these cassette rooms, which like move on a cycle. You see these blocks appear and disappear on a cycle, and then... Nice.
Nice. Yeah, so at the end heart, you're meant to dash into the heart. However, if you buffer a dash away, you actually collect it, which actually is really useful in a couple of places, mainly because you then don't need to worry about the spikes.
Also, you can always look out for like little Easter eggs in the last like chapter complete screens.
Yeah,
if you find any.
There's some obvious ones. There's some that are very subtle.
Yeah.
Shots to chapter 4.
So in this level, you're introduced to dream hypers. So basically, you input a down diagonal dash and then jump really quickly afterwards, and you do a hyper dash out of the dream block. So if you played the base game, you'll remember that you can jump out of dream blocks. This is kind of like the next technique up from that. So at the end of this room is a Bubs drop. So basically, he's going to try and go back into this room. I'll just let him concentrate.
Nice.
Nice. And then you use your dash. Oh, okay, really cool.
Nice.
So by going back into that room and getting your dash back, you can then get a wall bounce in the next room and basically skip the whole fin. I think it's about 20 seconds he just skipped there.
Yeah,
So
really
that was
long
sick.
And he only gets one try, by the way.
Yeah.
No pressure.
It's also a 2-frame window to do that jump to go back into the room. So yeah, that's really tight trick.
Nice.
Coming up in this next room, you're meant to grab a bunch of these touch switches. However, you can just kind of void all of them. You can do a corner boost off the block that's meant to move up. Yeah, nice. And then just go up here. This is one of the interesting concept levels. So Moni kind of created a lot of interesting concepts using the game's mechanics in interesting ways. In this one, you go up into different rooms, getting your dash back, and then you go back down and use them. So at the end there, you're meant to do 3 dashes really quickly in a row. However, you do an upright dash at the right time, you can actually go through all the dream blocks because the game's kind of broken. Just like that. Nice work. This is one of the hardest screens in 2D. It's a very tight in stamina. You have to really manage it, make sure you don't run out. And this second half, when he goes through this dream block, you have to time your jumps in a certain way to basically avoid going into those spikes. And we're in the cassette room. So there's a checkpoint he's about to grab on this platform. There you go. So don't have to do that first bit again. And then this is just a really tight stamina and managing like the height of your jump section. I'll let him concentrate for this. Nice. That's basically it. So yeah, basically all of that you need to, and there's obviously the finish of the level. So yeah, so all of that is basically doing different types of jumps, so really short ones and really long ones to manage the rhythm of the block there. So cool, and we're about to enter 3D. So 3D is, I think every screen has a cycle in it except for one, which we'll point out. So if you like cycles, you'll love this level. No one likes cycles, so I don't think many people like this level.
But the music is good.
Yeah, music's great.
Shouts to freebie.
Oh. Yeah, so he actually is doing a kind of skip here. You're meant to run out of stamina, but by kind of falling down there, you basically can get one more jump there and save a bit of time.
I'm just going to go back.
Yeah, so with these cycles, they start when you begin, you enter the screen. So if you go back into the previous screen, you basically reset them. So often in screens you don't die a lot, or have really tight cycles on def, you just go back out. Otherwise, you kind of just need to know a way to do every screen on both entry and def. Really tight. Yeah, this screen's really tight in a lot of ways, and oh no. And yeah,
wait really long if you wait for the death cycle here.
Yeah,
so.
just again, the reason why why he keeps going out in and out of rooms is because the death cycle is not always the same as the entry cycle necessarily.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you can see here that there's a lot of cycles, and if you just are slightly off, you can run into these dust bunnies, the fins moving back and forth. Oh.
That second wall bounce is pretty tight. Yeah.
So in this room, you're meant to go around this kind of loop twice. However, by precisely dashing up here like that, you can go up and avoid having to do a second one. Saves about 5 seconds or so. And yeah, that's all about managing your dash distances, so not doing dashes too quickly or too slow. And obviously cycles, you need to know an entry cycle, but that goes without saying. Oh! Yeah, you can see there, these levels or rooms are really long, so a def at the end there can cost 15, 20 seconds.
Nice.
This
time, nice.
Cool.
This room is something.
Yeah. Definitely some inventive mechanics here. Fortunately, that room's pretty straightforward. So this one, there's a feather down here, which you're meant to kind of take in a loop, but that's really hard, so we're just going to dash up here. Yeah, very simple. And there's a checkpoint just where we were, so fortunately, if we die on this section with all the rings, we don't go back too far.
I'm just gonna take it slow.
So you can do a hyper there and get to the other platforms, but it's really tough.
This looks trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick psychedelic experience during my speedrun. I like it.
Yeah, so in the next couple of rooms, or this one and another one, there's pillars of dust bunnies that all move and prevent you. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They're pretty hard rooms though, so. The concept of this one is that there's a blind cycle at the end you have to line up for, this one here. And you can use stuff on the ceiling to work out where it is, or you just do the save puts, and so you get it. Oh, nice. Yeah, so every time you skip one of those cycles, it saves a half second. This is the only room without a cycle, and now we're into Oshiro. So in the normal game Oshiro, you're meant to just avoid basically, and there's 1 or 2 screens where you need to bounce on his head. Every single screen here you need to bounce on his head. So a lot of it is trying to time this so that you do it in the right position. Fortunately, that first screen is really hard, but the next 2 are kind of not too bad. A lot of this is just about timing your dashes. Oh. Nice.
You can actually keep some of your momentum from a dash if you dash
Yeah,
into his head.
but that's really tight in that case there.
Yeah, so this is I think one of the hardest rooms in 3D. So lots of timing, lots of feathers. Don't ask why there's feathers in 3D. There's a feathers in most chapters in this the D sides. I think Moni just really likes them. Oh.
Not keeping a dash is scary.
And then we enter screens where it's basically just feather flights while there's dust bunnies that you kind of need to avoid. Fortunately, if you speedrun this game, you kind of know cycles which you can use. This one here is the hardest one.
Nice.
Okay. First of all, this is the only screen I've seen with multiple Oshiros. It's as janky as it sounds. And then right here.
Okay.
Nice. So by doing a hyper bunny hop into that screen, you can get the heart. Normally you have to go all the way to the right in this room, get Oshiro, go all the way back, and it takes 30 seconds or something.
Yeah,
but
something like
that's
that.
also very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually a really good chapter. Like 5 minutes is pretty good time.
Yeah.
So cool. Now in 4D. So I hope ESA's bit rate is pretty high.
Yes. This is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah. So yeah, 4 introduces clouds and green bubbles. There's a lot of really awkward jumps to begin with. The other feature, especially in the D sides, is these auto scrollers, which we'll point out when we get to them. There's 4 of those. There's some bits with lots of strong wind and bits with lots of snowballs. All of them are pretty hard. Yes.
Auto scrollers where you can, there's like these arrow blocks move in the direction, and he can grab certain sides of it to move it.
Yeah. We call them auto scrollers because you kind of can't really change how long they take to get to the top, so you basically just need to not die.
I guess they technically don't scroll, but...
Yeah. This room has really awkward jumps, if you couldn't tell.
Also, this cloud.
Yeah. So if you played Farewell, you may recognize that technique from Farewell. We think they stole it from this map. I don't think so, but you know, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kevin almost like he said something about it.
Yeah.
It sounded very much like confirming that it was.
Yep. So here we enter the heavy wind section. So I hope you see what's going on the screen, because there's not much of that going on. Here's screen number 2.
I'm sure this is a great experience on stream. I mean, I can barely see anything, and I'm sitting right next to him.
And this is the worst one.
Yeah, this one is actually pretty much you can't see anything.
This is a screen.
Yeah, so that's the last of those ones. Obviously, there's lots of snow still, and especially when there becomes wind, it gets kind of hard to see, but it's nothing as bad as that. Yeah, this is one of those rare horizontal auto scrollers. Yeah, it's just kind of long. I think, Ruby, you die a lot on this one, I've heard, so...
Maybe?
It gets the first try.
Here's another one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple of those though.
So he actually dashed into the block because you want to collect this crystal to refill your stamina, and you don't necessarily run out of stamina there, so it helps by just dashing to make sure you guarantee collect it. Going to do a similar thing here.
Yeah, those crystals collect either if you run out of stamina or don't have a dash, one of those two.
Yep.
Otherwise you just sit on them.
Nice. Yeah, so doing supers off those clouds just basically goes under them. This is the last vertical auto scroller in 4D. Probably one of the hardest ones. There's a really awkward maneuver here where you have to go down right here. Nice. It's also you're going to see him go red, so you have to not really move. Okay, this is definitely the hardest screen in 4D. Snowball cycles, lots of cycle skips. Oh no!
I'm not used to not having my dash.
Yeah, wow.
That was almost a good save though.
Yeah. But yeah, you're meant to hit the snowball a lot of times in this screen, but as a speedrunner, that's kind of slow waiting for it, so we do a lot of speedrun techniques to get here.
Where was my speed? Just stopped.
Yeah, so similarly again, he had to get actually the speed of the snowball, he has to dash directly into them to cancel the dash with it.
Yeah.
So if he's slightly too late or slightly off in position, it doesn't give you him the speed necessarily. Just like that.
Nice. Oh! Yeah, so he wants to land on the end, get another jump in his dash back, and then he can finish the screen. So really close. Yeah, okay. Avoid the snowball at the end, the troll snowball, and we're through it. So that's definitely the hardest screen in here. For casual players, I think it takes, an hour or something for some people. At least 30 minutes or so, just because it's so many cycles you have to get used to. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, so he does a bunny hop at the end, avoids having to wait for that snowball cycle, saves a second or something. Very good. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's kind of tight.
Yeah, so he's trying to dash upright and grab the side there, while also just getting enough distance to not the wind to push him away. And here he has to time the snowball there to get his dash and jump back. And we're out of those snowball screens. Yeah, so again, this is another room that kind of bears a resemblance to Chapter 9 with wind and spins. Obviously, this is a tiny bit harder than Chapter 9 one, but yeah. And shoutouts to a feather in 4D.
Also, like, spikes don't exist.
Yeah, so basically the wind's so strong that it pushes him into the spikes despite the fact he's facing away and trying to go away. And so the game lets him basically just exist there. Oh, so he's going to try and do this skip at the end where you're meant to wall bounce on the left side, which you have to wait a while to do, and then it's very tight at the end. Instead, he's going to try and get back up onto the block. Nice. And that lets him take a very leisurely, like, just stroll here on the left side. Also keeps his dash so he can skip this and maybe faster. Okay, and this is the cassette room. You can't actually walk left, you need to dash left if you want to go there. And then we have these interesting timing sections. I'll let him concentrate for this. So you can do a dash up there, which lets you skip having to wait for this dash crystal to respawn, but it doesn't waste too much time.
Also, everyone dies here in their casual playthrough.
And that's 4D.
How's the chapter complete screen?
Yeah. Very accurate representation. Cool. That was still pretty damn good. Nice. Yeah, so we're now entering 5D. I think this is your favorite D side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people's favorite one.
Except for the start.
Yeah, so you may see him awkward movement here and walk on air, but there's actually invisible blocks, which is a gimmick, I guess, of this chapter. They only appear in like the first bit and the last bit, so yeah, this is the last room with them.
Nice.
The gimmick of D-sides, we should say, those are not in the in the main game.
Yeah, that's very true. It's definitely a D-side gimmicks, like the snow screen. Oh.
Oh. Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, so this chapter bears a lot of resemblance to 5B. So basically this section here, there's a lot of gates you need to collect keys for. Unfortunately, like real 5B, you can't skip getting both keys. In fact, you can't really skip getting either of the keys. So obviously a better level design. TGH actually found this strat in his casual playthrough where you basically get pushed down by these blocks, and so you can just kind of use the red bubble to go all the way to the right. So yeah, saves a bit of time. Nice, and you have to use the momentum there to kind of get to the end. And here's the second key, and unfortunately you can't actually get up there directly. You have to go all the way back down to the first room in this section. And then use this bubble to go all the way back up. Dash to make sure that block's out of the way, and we got the top door. So the keys actually only unlock one door. It used to unlock both, but the devs changed it in one patch.
Yeah, with Chapter 9, because it would have broken like the key door stuff.
Okay, so this room here is one of the longest ones. I think it's the longest in 5D. Very tight section, lots of bubbles, lots of dashing in gaps. So I'll let him get this done. Nice, and no die at the end. Nice. Yeah, that was pretty damn good. And now we're entering the janky screen transition to the second half of Mirror Temple. So this bit has Seekers and yeah, lots of boosts. So in this next room, you're meant to use the Seeker boost at the end to get all the way to the side, but instead we're going to do something reminiscent of the any % run.
Seeker boost as in lure the guy over and then let him explode?
Yeah,
yep.
And you actually have to kill him once so you can get him under the barrier there.
Nice. So you can do a really tight wall bounce. I think it's close to pixel perfect, where you can basically do a wall bounce up there and skip that entire bit. It's used in the any % run in 6A. And yep. So these next two rooms are kind of puzzles where you have to move the seeker into a certain thing. This one is definitely the jankiest puzzle. So you get a bounce off the seeker, which redirects the bubble up there. Don't ask me what's going on. Yeah, this is another long-ish room, and the main gimmick of it is basically getting boosts off all of these blocks. Fortunately, this one is savable. Nice.
Getting a wall bounce off of these is going to be kind of tricky.
Yeah. So he dashes into that to make sure that one's in a good position to the wall bounce off it. And we're through this level, and we're into Theo. Theo has amusing text. Feel free to read it if you have the time to. We'll probably try and go quickly through them.
So for the record, Theo is the guy in the crystal that you can pick up, throw, and do all kinds of stuff too.
Yep.
With rather, okay, yeah. Alright. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this first screen's actually quite difficult. It's definitely similar to a lot of the screens in like regular Celeste, but it's like just way more difficult than usual. This one's actually kind of interesting. You have to kind of lure the seeker out and then put Theo into that hole. Yeah.
Shouts to the crowd. Bunch of horn dogs in the crowd. Shouts at them.
Oh. So you can get a corner boost there to save like a second or something, but... And this is a Theo puzzle. So basically the idea is you need to dash at certain times to get Theo through kind of this maze or contraption in this thing here. And there's a few of them in this level. Nice. So this one, casually, you kind of need to look at it, but use a really simple, you just wait for these to go away and then you dash and it's pretty straightforward. And then you get a big jump there. And this room, there's actually it takes a while to do this, so instead we just demo dash through that wall. First try. That's actually set up less, so it's literally frame perfect to get that.
I swear I'm not cheating.
And you can also do a demo dash here. Oh.
That one has a setup. Why did I miss this?
Yeah, it's just really hard to get the timing right.
I'm gonna try once more.
Also, bumpers in Temple. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, this one doesn't actually save a huge amount of time, just a few seconds. But it's still really cool if you can get... Oh!
What did I do?
Nice. So this one's definitely one of the hardest Theo rooms casually. It's really hard to figure out what to kind of do, and then even just execute. Also, it's impossible, yes, as Theo pointed out.
If you die like, I think like 40 times in this room or something, like Theo's gonna say something else. But I hope you're not gonna see that.
Yeah. But we can actually cheese that by saving... Oh! By saving our dash for the whole thing. By doing these neutral jumps and landing there. Yeah, savable,
save.
winnable.
Definitely winnable.
Okay, cool. And in this room, Theo likes to... okay, I was going to say Theo's text box actually gets in our way, but if you die, it goes away, so...
Yeah, it's like right in front of the feather there. Yeah.
Also, Feather in Mirror Temple. Name Guy really likes his feathers, so... And this is a cassette room, another puzzle, except this time it's on cycles, or more cycles.
Just wait.
Nice.
And there we go.
Yeah, so basically, Ruby kind of knows exactly how to do this puzzle without having to see exactly what's happening. So save it as a mystery for people who do it casually. And very nice.
Also, the secret on this screen took me a while to figure out.
It's a thinker.
It's a real finger. Okay, so we're entering 60. 60 is definitely one of the most creative of these D-sides. I actually really like it. I think Oddbods played this one, enjoyed it as well somewhat.
He recommended it to me, saying it's the best one. I was like, are you sure about that?
Yeah, I think it's my favorite, but it's pretty interesting. Oh,
there's one thing we surely will point out that is questionable.
There's a few questionable screens.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you're meant to use that Kevin and kind of time it through these fire fins like this one. However, you can use the bumper to skip that a lot safer and a bit quicker. Yeah, so one of the core things about reflection is these bumpers. If you look really closely, you can actually see they move slightly. That's just kind of in the game, and it's really annoying. It is on a cycle. Shout outs to another cycle.
Wow. That's close.
Yeah, and we can get a bumper boost there to skip that one. Nice. So in this screen, you're meant to time going through these fireball fins by just hitting it at the right time, but you can kind of go over the top, skipping that entire puzzle, which is cool. Oh, yeah, that's a 6 cycle skip.
That was a bumper boost, right?
Yeah, I don't want that bumper boost.
Oh. But yeah, if you press the opposite direction just before you hit a bumper, it like gives you a bigger boost, which is quite precise.
Yeah. It's easy if you dash into it, because while you're dashing you can change direction easily, but yeah.
Except you can misdirect your dash because that's a mechanic in the first 4 frames of animation.
Shoutouts to misdirecting dashes.
Shouts to Matt Thorson.
So this is the falling section. This is very reminiscent of 6B, where there's a bunch of screens. Fortunately, this doesn't suffer from 6Bs, where every screen looks the same. This one, definitely, they look a bit different. You can tell what's going on. You dash out of that feather just because it's quicker to fall than to actually use the feather. It's also like easier to control. And Ruby did some dashes at the start to align a cycle here. Nice. Normally you have to wait there and try and time the cycle, but if you just do a number of dashes at the start, it kind of works out. This screen is a troll. You're meant to kind of move to the left, and then it turns out you just wanted to stay in the same line the whole way. I think you got by that, Oddbod.
Yeah, I did. I was like, there's no way, there's no setup. And people were just making fun of me for keep trying. Also, this screen is something.
Yeah, so this Steve's called the pinball room, just because of this section here. Yeah, so you basically need to learn to manage jumping on these a lot.
Alright, nice.
Nice, the ending is very tight.
Yeah. And this is the last bit before Battle Line. Battle Line is definitely my favorite bit of this level. I think it's really creative. Battle Line is the thing we're hitting at the moment. It's kind of like the final boss almost of Celeste. So Battle Line has 2 attacks, bubbles and a laser. In regular Celeste, she just does one or the other. I think there's one which does kind of a mixture of both. And here we're going to see some interesting uses of her.
Sound warning,
nice.
Yeah, definitely headphone warning.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Oh no! Yeah, so this is a really tight skip. You're meant to go down the bottom, but you can do a really tight hyper there. Yeah, Ruby's just
you can just go down the bottom.
Yeah, you're not meant to go over the top.
Intended.
In this room, these long falling blocks from the ceiling, you have to kind of wait for while dodging Battle Line's attacks. It's actually kind of cool concept. It just feels really bad because it's a long waiting period.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Captain N donated $5. Why not have another OWO from the crowd? And remember, spikes are only a suggestion.
They certainly are. Oh.
Shouts to rewriting the balls.
So yeah, as you may notice in this screen, there's actually 2 battle lines. So this is one of the gimmicks or like mechanics of this map where there's multiple battle lines per screen. So basically it makes the screen harder just because there's more balls, more lasers being shooted out. Nice. Such as this screen where there's a few lasers.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. We do the intentional death at the start to set up a cycle where we don't need to worry about them. This screen's kind of...
Also springs and reflection.
It's an interesting concept. Oh no! Just slightly too fast. Nice. Okay, so again, to set up a certain cycle here, this one there are 2 Badlines shooting lots of fireballs at us. Cool. Okay, and then this is kind of just a really tight section. The ends, I'm going to call it pretty jank. You're meant to use the cooldown periods of these bumpers to get through them. Yeah, nice.
Also, now is the headphone warning.
Yeah, so if you got headphones in, probably take them out. Cool.
Ace.
And it's done.
That's the only screen like that, fortunately.
It's 13 lasers, I think.
Yeah, there's a few lasers in that screen. So this is kind of like a boss screen where you kind of have to hit battle line multiple times to clear it. This one's one of the funnest ones. There's heaps of cool speed strats you can do. Nice. Actual center of the Earth.
Yes.
Well, this is looking
What
a bit
could that
different. So those. Wait, what? Celeste, please. Okay. So those fireballs at the start of the level may be actually foreshadowing for what's about to come.
By the way, these horizontal gates are way harder than they look. Like that. In general, the way spike hitboxes work, they're a lot more lenient, like you know, vertically than they horizontally, I suppose, than they look, but vertically like that. Actually, I guess the other way around. You get what I mean. Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah, the other thing about them is you need to like press left a certain number of frames in order to actually get in them.
It doesn't line you up. So.
Yeah, it's not line upable at all. Okay, and suddenly we're in core. So, fortunately, we still have our dash refills yet. This also introduces a mechanic of bubbled feathers. You see them in Reflection a bit, but here you're meant to kind of jump on them. It's kind of slow jumping on them, so we try to avoid it as much as possible. But yeah, they also give us back our dash when we jump on them. Skip battle line because they're slightly faster. Oh, close. It may not look like it, but we can actually pick up that feather, despite there being a spike on top.
That's similar to the hard in 1A earlier, 1D earlier, right?
Exactly, yeah.
You buffer a dash away from it.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, so we actually don't have dash refills anymore, so... Oh!
That can happen.
Yeah, that section there is pretty janky.
If you get one of those feathers, there's nothing you can do, really.
Yeah, you just kind of hold right and hope.
Reminds me of the pinball machine outside of this room.
Nice. Yeah, so these screens are basically tight feather movement while also, you know, having to hit battle line. Nice. Okay, cool. Nice. So usually you have to wait another cycle there and use that gap in the top of the ceiling, but if you're really quick, you can just do it like this. Death cycle, because otherwise you have to wait for this platform to go back. Oh, close. Nice. Cool. And in this room, you need to use the boost from these blocks going up, except for this one. Shout out to trolls. Cool. And this is probably the hardest of these core battleline rooms. You need to kind of ride the wave kind of thing while battleline is shooting and lasering you. Fortunately, you can just make that gap there, and if you save your dash, you can do a hyper at the end there. And yeah, and now we're getting close to the end of the level. So this bit, battle line's no longer really attacking you, and it's more just obstacles that you kind of worry about. Oh, you can get onto that second one and save a cycle there. Nice. And in this next room, there's a big block that crushes you. However, due to how spike hitboxes work, it can just hit you and push you into the wall and you don't die, which is really good. And yeah. And now we're in the final room. Battleline is the boss in this room. You have to hit her normally 8 times. However, by doing a really precise hyper, Oh. You can actually avoid hitting her and collect the heart without having to hit her 8 times, so saves quite a bit.
This room is quite something casually, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the main challenge of this room is working out a cycle you can use to repeatedly hit her without getting hit by the fireballs. It's not the end of the world. Nice.
Oh,
nice. So sub 10 is really good in this level. Yeah.
Always until you really like are done with the level. Like as long as the game still moves, you can still die. So that's quite possible there because Battlelin's shooting like 20 bullets a second.
Yeah. Okay, so we're entering 7D. So we're about halfway through the run, actually.
Yeah.
We've got 2 chapters left, halfway through the run. So in this chapter, the mechanics are you need to do neutral jumps, what we explained in the beginning. You need to do hypers, you need to do wave dashes. So yeah, it's going to be a full out chapter. So kind of the history behind this level is there was actually an old version of this, which was released like, I think it was one of the first few levels Moni released. And basically it was really hard and it was often one of the hardest custom maps. But as you know, custom maps get released, people keep one-upping each other, and then there was more hard ones and stuff. And I think Moni at some point was like, you know what, I'm going to remake this. It was really janky to begin with, so we definitely needed a remake. And they decided to make it one of the hardest levels, and I think it's still one of the hardest levels to this day. A casual playthrough of this, if you're pretty decent and know the game, will take about 15 hours or so. I think the quickest is like 8 hours. Shout out to Spirialis.
Yo, my boy.
Yeah. So basically, it's really long. It consists of really long screens where if you die, you lose like 30 seconds up to a minute. So yeah, just sit back, enjoy basically doing these really long screens.
Yeah, this
similar
is
to
also
Seasides.
where the crumble block mechanics come in like a lot, what I explained at the beginning.
Yeah, so the general structure of this is there's 4 kind of regular rooms in each like 500 meter section, and then there's a battle line orb room, which Ruby just did, and we're now up to 500 meters. So 500 meters, kind of the gimmick, similar to 1D, is spike jumps. So you're going to see some, I don't think in the next room, but the room after. This room's definitely one of the easier ones in the whole level. Just need to time or get your position right. And yeah, you're meant to do a lot of spike jumps here, but you can kind of avoid them by doing a really precise jump there. And
That's too far to the right.
yes, so that one's actually, there's no setup for that. You just have to kind of eyeball it.
I mean, there is a setup, but you have to wait for the traffic block to be like go back and there again. So
Yep.
Oh.
I don't want to do that.
But that's really slow, so who wants to do that? Yeah, so here you're meant to kind of go over, but if you get a right pixel, you can go in the spike corridor there and kind of just skip a bit of it. Nice. And here, if you hold neutral after hitting the sprint, you just fit through that gap. Oh! Yeah, so there's actually quite a few of these like set up pixel perfect gaps where if you do the right inputs, you go through the gap and don't die. Obviously, figuring out the inputs takes a bit of time casually. Nice. This is another one of those. And there's another one here. Yep. Nice. Nice. That room's, yeah, pretty difficult.
All these battleline rooms are just insanely long and hard.
Yeah, basically the battleline rooms are probably the longest rooms in this, in most of this chapter. There's 1 or 2 exceptions, and they get progressively longer each 500 meter section you go up. So again, we have hyper dashes out of gene blocks. That's really precise. You just want to move 1 pixel to the right and you fit through there. Nice. Cool. Yeah, that's another hard room. 1,000 meters is pretty hard in this chapter.
Yeah.
This one's all about stamina management, especially this first section. The second bit, you're meant to go to the left, but you can do a very precise up dash there and go through that dream block. Nice. This room is really tight. It's quite short, fortunately, but all these jumps are really tight, and it's a hard rhythm to get used to. Okay. And now we're in the battle line room. So this one is longer than the one before, so there's going to be quite a bit of this. Yeah, that wall bounce there saves quite a lot of time and is actually an easier strat than what you're meant to do. So, and here is all about, again, stamina management. Nice. Cool. So 1,500 meters, intentional death there to reset the cycle.
Yeah.
1,500 meters, lots of cycles. However, it's not as bad as it may seem to begin with. It's relatively lenient, and I don't know. I don't mind it too much. I don't know what Ruby thinks.
Yeah, I mean, it's less bad than I expected it to be, let's say.
Yeah.
Like from a runner perspective.
People just love Chapter 3.
Yeah.
My strats are just bad. So.
Yeah, lots of strokes actually just to... Oh, you must have been just to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of slows actually. Basically just want to be really safe. This screen, as you can tell, is really long. It's also cycle dependent, so if you go too fast or too slow, you run into these dust bunnies when you're trying to hit a spin.
What?
Nice.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this bit has, I guess, moving platforms. Or I don't know what you call these ones. So you're meant to go... so for this last one, you're meant to go up to the top right of it. However, Ruby will hopefully be able to get a short super off it and then just kind of dash through, saving it a bit of time. Super there, yeah, and just go through there. And if you like cycles, yeah, you'll enjoy this screen. Nice. Again, another cycle screen. Def to make sure the right one is on entry. And the kind of gimmick of this one is you kind of need to wait in places to make sure you don't like dash into these ones. So that's what all these up dashes are. But this end bit, you just need to dash the finish. Cool. And we're in the cassette room. Not the cassette room, the battle line orb room. You know what I mean.
Nice.
It would be nice, yeah. That's the end of the level. Nice. Yeah, so this whole screen is cycle dependent. So if you mess up any of the strats, you basically improvise him, which is really hard. Nice. And then this is one of the jankiest jumps where you have to kind of use its upward momentum to get into battle line. And we're done. So 2,000 meters. This is, I think, one of the worst, like in terms of difficulty, definitely one of the most difficult of the sections in this level. Each screen, this screen just coming up is definitely the funnest, but the rest are just kind of really bad. Yeah, so you can shout out to Demo Dash.
And another one.
Nice. So yeah, this one, if you remember the auto scrollers in Chapter 4, this one is basically the worst of the bunch. It's basically as long as all of them combined and a good deal more difficult than the rest of them. So
how long does the screen take?
50 seconds.
Yeah,
Maybe a bit
like
less than that, but
It's way too long.
Yeah.
So he's pushing some of these blocks against the wall to like make them slow down.
Yeah, and also most of these like gaps are pixel perfect, so you have to like use the blocks to line them up.
That's right there.
Yeah, but right there, he's slowing the block down to make sure this one's up high enough. Nice, first kind of try. Okay, and
screen.
Yeah, this screen is, I personally think it's the worst one in 7D. So if you like jumping on snowboards, I think you have to jump on them 8 times in the speedrun route. The casual route, you probably have 2 more jumps. So yeah, you have to get really good at about timing them and doing them.
I remember when they remade this map and Luke was complaining about them like day one.
Yeah.
How about the screen?
Yeah, I think in my first stream of this, I basically played up to that auto-scroller, and then in the second stream I played those 2 screens back to back, and they took me about 2.5 hours to get through just these 2 screens. I was not a happy man after that. Nice. And of course a feather. Nice. Okay, that's definitely the worst room in 2,000 meters done. This one's actually not too bad for an orb room. You think it'd be really bad, but it's actually not too terrible. The main gimmick of it is using these moving blocks and later on using them to kind of block battle line from launching yourself into the spikes, such as here.
Yeah, you have to hit all the battle lines, otherwise you can't go like further.
Yep.
You can't just skip those.
Nice. And then grind your head against the ceiling for a bit. Nice. Cool. Sick corner boost there. Not as bad as it looks. Yeah, so 2,500, a lot of swap blocks, a lot of red bubbles. This room is all about, I guess, a bit of stamina management while also using these swap blocks to, I guess, use a bit of momentum and stuff.
Let's climb jump.
Yeah, you need to do a neutral over there to get onto the top. This one probably has one of the worst endings. You need to do a hyper at the very end, but it's like very precise, so you don't have a big platform to do it. So when we get there, hopefully Ruby will be able to get it first try. Nice.
Oh, right in that.
Nice. Yeah, so
That's just swag, by the way.
yeah, getting an extended hyper off that is like really precise. You have to be, I think, on the leftmost pixel of that block.
Yeah, it might be 2 or something, but it's not many.
Yeah, there's not many. This is very reminiscent of that one 5D screen with lots of bubbles, except you have 2 dashes, which kind of adds a twist. And that dash at the end there is very precise. Like, you have to get really close to those spikes before you do it. And this one, the first bit is all about whether you dash or not into bubbles, and then the second bit's all about wall bounces out of bubbles. Oh, unfortunate. As you can see, if you at the start, if you dash, the blocks are in your way, so you don't want to dash. Here's a really weird strat. It's apparently safer at the end of a very long level. You don't want to die, so... and this one's all about using momentum off blocks to kind of go through the screen. However, Ruby's going to take some safe strats, or I guess some speed strats, but also some safe strats, just because it's you basically don't die if you do the safe strats, whereas you can easily die if you do the like intended ones. And they're honestly not that much so. Cool, and we're in the battle line room again. This one is definitely, I think it's the second longest room in the whole level.
It's a screen.
Screen, sure,
So
yeah.
It's a screen.
Yeah, it is a
Certainly
screen.
one.
This some cool stuff where you get pushed by that block and then vert there. Nice. Oh wait,
debated.
I guess there's a bubble section as well, so. Yeah, so as you can tell, that was like good 40 seconds into the room and just unfortunate dash there. But yeah, all those dashes are really precise. It's also a very weird rhythm you have to do there, especially if you're doing like going fast where once you get into the bubble, if you press dash, it actually immediately launches you. Whereas normally there's like, you know, a quarter of a second before you get launched. So you're doing a lot of dashes in a row at that section and you can kind of get out of rhythm easily. Yeah. Nice. Okay, let's go.
Oh wait!
Debated. And if you've seen any percent runs, you'll remember door skip, any percent of the main game. Moni just had to put door skip into it, so...
Alright, clapping, yeah.
Yeah. We're actually finished now.
Also, there was like no checkpoint or anything.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you had to do all that. If you died there, it's... as I think most casual players do, usually die at least once that section, which is pretty frustrating. So yeah, we're now in 3K. So the gimmick here is you have 3 different sections: downwind, upwind, and neutral wind. And there's also flags, which kind of count you down. So we're at flag 24 at the moment. And a spike jump there, as you do.
I like the idea of neutral wind. Some may say no wind.
No wind, neutral wind, you know, it's about the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Definitely a thinker.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird setup, but it's like necessary.
Yeah, so if you played 7B, you may remember sections like this with lots of spins in the downwind. Nice. Cool, so that's neutral wind done.
Downwards.
Sorry, downwind, not neutral wind, my bad. We're now in upwind. So I guess quickly explain what they do. It basically, downwind makes you fall faster at all points. Upwind makes you fall slower. You also jump higher and stuff. It basically just always adds a bit onto your vertical momentum. Yeah, so once you've done that tight dashing section, you then have to do a tight jumping section without using stamina, but it gets it done easily. And yeah, this is a room similar to another one in 7B, flag 10 I believe, except it's obviously a lot more difficult. Nice. Oh, got the flag. So in this bit, there's a pixel perfect dashes you have to do here, but you can line yourself up with their spoilers if you play this casually. Figuring that out is pretty difficult. I don't know if anyone actually figured that out. Most people just kind of eyeballed it and eventually got there, but yeah. Now we enter clouds and upwind, which is pretty interesting. You have to do very, like, 1 or 2 frame jumps off these clouds to make sure you don't go into the spikes. Yeah, and now I think this is my least favorite flag you're about to see. There's feathers and upwind. So basically, while you're in the feather, you're constantly being pushed up, so you have to kind of compensate. On controller, it's not too bad. You can kind of just move the analog stick. Oh, unfortunate. You can move the analog stick in like a slightly different direction to the one you want to go. Whereas on keyboard, you kind of have to tap up and down in order to correct yourself. And Ruby is on keyboard, so definitely a lot more challenging than it would be normally. We're also saving our dashes here.
Yeah, this one.
Nice. Nice. And we skip going to the left there to basically get another feather. Yeah.
What?
Nice. Usually you have to use the wars, but with really precise dashes, you can avoid doing that. And we're now in no or neutral wind. Shouts going over the top there. So this is just challenging platforming, I guess. There's no like gimmick with the wind anymore.
Controlling these clouds is way harder than it makes it look.
Yeah.
Like they kind of behave really weirdly, where if you're like slightly above them, they just like suck you down onto them. It's very weird.
Nice. Didn't have to go to the left 4 there. Nice corner boost off the top there. He actually had more stamina. Nice.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know.
Must have done something different. Cool. Yeah, so those flags are really precise. This one, the gimmick is basically if you stay on those clouds too long, you're going to go into the spikes. So you need to basically buffer a jump off them as soon as you land.
And this is cool, you can catch them on the upswing later on.
Yep.
White clouds.
Yeah, so this one, as Oddbot said, you need to jump also on them a second time, the white ones at least.
Didn't quite get the momentum.
Yeah, they can be pretty finicky if you like get the jump kind of unaligned. It kind of just won't give you the momentum, which obviously will kill you. Yep. Also, just want to shout out Rubydrag0n for this music. Never get tired of hearing it, despite spending 15 hours on this level. So. Nice. Okay. That's one of the harder flags left to do. This one, you're meant to actually use your dash there, but you can do an ultra to get to that wall, which lets us cheese the end of it. If you can...
I have to save all my stamina here.
Nice. Yeah, you're meant to, again, go kind of to the left and do a lot more platforming, but by saving our dash there, we can kind of just go over the top there. Cool. So in this flag, you're meant to use this feather a bunch of times, eventually getting rid of those crumble blocks. But by doing that really quickly, you can actually skip using that. Saves 15 seconds or something.
Yeah, I have no clue. That's
no
faster.
idea. Don't think many people have timed it. So def there just to get you quicker into the checkpoint. So what Ruby's going to do is he's going to actually skip getting the flag 2 checkpoint by using this feather.
Because for some reason there's a kill floor here, but it only kills you from like...
Yeah, from
the
below.
top.
From above, yeah.
Very tight stamina section at the end.
Okay,
Let's go. Yeah, so that was all of flag 2. So if he died at any point in there, he would have gone all the way back to flag 3. So like a minute loss. So. Yeah, so now flag 1, the music's fading. We're almost at the top of the summit. Obviously, a lot more obstacles than usual flag 1s in 7B and the normal one. But yeah. And here we are. You can see the flag.
Begins.
Yeah. Except if you played 7B, there's a cassette room you have to do. This is the longest room in any of the D sides, so I wish him luck in doing this. Obviously, it's a cycle-based room because why the hell not?
So in this section, you're supposed to get all these coins, but I believe you're going for the skip, right? So there's a very weird and precise setup of the feather there to just barely squeeze through there without collecting the coins.
That was found like a week ago.
Nice, and there's invisible blocks here.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Game design.
Can't do that casually on the first try. You have to die at least once. You can, technically, but good luck.
There's no checkpoint here, by the way.
Yeah, if he dies at any point, he's going back to the start of this screen. Okay, almost there.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, that's insane.
24-25 is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's 7D. That's definitely one of the hardest custom levels I think that exist at the moment. And yeah, Ruby just did it in 46 deaths, so a lot of those intentional. And the final D side, 8D, this one was made first, and it hasn't really been reworked. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of jank. It also has probably the most janky mechanic. He just jumped off the lava there. You can actually do that. So lava actually acts as a wall, and there's about a 1 pixel position where you can actually just jump off it. You can also do wall bounces off it. There's a few more pixels there. So this level, the main gimmick is basically doing wall bounces and jumps off the side of lava.
To clarify that again, like all those bounces and jumps off these lava blocks are about like what, a pixel or two?
Yeah.
Every single one of them?
I think it's 3.
Oh, 3, okay.
3 pixels for the wall bounce, 1 pixel for the jump.
Yeah, the jump
okay.
is 1.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is normally in the game, if you do the up dash and are like kind of slightly against the wall, yeah, they're really tight, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you do the up dash and are slightly to the left of where you want to be, it will actually like snap you onto the right side of the wall and still give you the wall bounce. Ouch. Whereas with these, it just kills you, so you have even less room to maneuver than you would normally. Alright, let's go. Cool. That room's definitely quite difficult. Like, you have to do 2 wall bounces off the lava.
And I don't think we explained yet, but the main mechanic, of course, is don't get your dashes back, by the way, except for crystals.
Yeah.
So, crystals and screen transitions, that is.
There's also berries in core. There's 7 berries, like red berries. We're going to hopefully be collecting one at the end, just to kind of show it off, and it's like pretty much on the way. But yeah, good luck finding all of them.
Yeah, like some of those berries are just really stupid.
Yeah, there's one in particular which is like really dumb to get. So here, nice.
Wow.
You do a coyote frame jump off the end there, and you can just get onto that block.
There's a checkpoint there for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, don't question it. So this room is definitely the worst one in this level. This wall bounce you have to do with this lava is so precise. Nice, first try. Let's go.
Nice. Yeah, don't clap.
Yeah,
That's
you can clap for
insanely
that.
hard. So not only are those bounces like what 3 pixels we figured, but you know, you move so fast that it's what, probably 1 frame window or something.
Yeah, and the other thing is like you're also slowing down rapidly from the bounce, so it's hard to mentally judge when you need to do it. There's also distortion from the lava effect, so everything just combines to make it a really tough one to do. Nice, and now we're in the up lava section. One thing to note is this was, as I said, this was the first D-side actually made, and the level editor, shout outs to Ahorn, really good. The level editor wasn't too good at that point and didn't actually let you place like upward lava or the kind of up and down lava. So what Monty did was they actually they actually copied 8B and just basically modified all the rooms in place to make the level they wanted. So if you look at this in the debug menu, you'll notice it bears a very strong resemblance to 8B. Yeah. So this level, this room is...
This is something.
Yeah,
this is what I quit on casually.
Yeah, so this bears resemblance to the 8B one where you kind of use all the levels mechanics, except this one's like 5 times more harder than it is. Yeah, only 5 or something. Nice. Easily done. Yeah, so now in sandwich lava or up-down lava, we're basically, depending on what core mode we're in.
I've never heard it referred to sandwich lava, that's so good.
It's what it's called
I've never
in-game.
heard that in 2 years of this game. I can't believe that. That's amazing.
But yeah, so a lot of this is basically managing what level the lava is at, so you can go through sections. Nice. Yeah, so this screen actually has a checkpoint kind of like in the middle to the right here. And then the second half is a puzzle where you kind of need to figure out how to get all these touch switches.
Checkpoint, by the way, for some reason. I don't know.
Nice checkpoint. So basically, every time you go through that middle section, it swaps to the other like mode, except for the bottom switch when you go down in that one. So an interesting puzzle, takes a while to solve casually, but as speedrunners, it's not too bad. And here, this is where you can, if you get the right pixel, you can just climb up lava. Nice. Yep. And here's the berry we're going to get. Ah! Obviously, really precise up dash or really precise gap there.
But like we're really good in time, so nice.
Nice. Cool. So by saving a dash, we actually save a dash in this room and can skip those first few fins. So the gimmick of this cassette room is it's in space, so you have really floaty physics, which I'm not a fan of. It's kind of just hard to move. I don't know what Ruby thinks of it.
Checkpoints for some reason.
Oh yeah, there's also checkpoints, which are really good. Otherwise, it would be a lot harder.
I think money was still generous at this point before they turned insane.
Yeah.
With the other B-sides. Again, this is the first one they made, so...
Yeah, so we now get our dash back since we touched that block. And there's a heart we need to get, but unfortunately we need to go a bit further past in this level. Oh! Yeah, fortunately checkpoint pretty close.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be a back, or is that your strat?
Nah, that's just my strat.
You are a madman.
Yeah. Nice.
It's not too bad usually.
Normally you have to do like one up down, like go wrap around, but this way you don't. And we get the cassette, and that'll take us to the heart. Eventually.
Time as soon as the text appears. And
time.
time.
GG.
So yeah, this was the D-sides, I guess. And now we're gonna show the 9D preview.
Yeah.
Because the incentive was met. Which I just need to find. Here it is.
Cool.
So I think no one has seen it yet,
No.
I think. So yeah, like the story is basically like, well, I mean 9D is just gonna be like the D-side for Chapter 9.
And Chapter 9, for the record, real quick, is a DLC chapter that released recently for the base game.
So like Chapter 9 is already pretty hard, and like now we're getting the D side of that. So yeah, have fun watching this. I hope I can do it. I didn't do this too many times.
Yeah, so this is just a single room as a preview, a taste to
like
get a feel of what it's going to be like.
Oh, that might be death. Yeah, that's death.
That's one of the main farewell mechanics. There's this
yeah, those
pink crystal that gets
dash
you the double
crystals.
dash. Exactly.
Oh, really?
Also, if you do want to see farewell in the base game, make sure to watch the true ending run tomorrow
Yeah.
evening on stream 1.
Oh!
The wild ones was too late.
Yeah, that was really close to the end of the screen. Yeah, so I believe, I can't remember exactly how many rooms Moni said there was going to be, but I think it was somewhere in the 300 range.
Yeah.
So this level is going to be actually nuts. For reference, Farewell has about a bit over 100 screens, so yeah.
And those 100 screens take like 20 minutes to speedrun, so...
And
Yeah.
7D had like, I think 30, so yeah.
Yeah, 7D has 30, then 26 flags, and then a cassette room, so about 57. Oh, sorry. 7D, yeah. Nice. And we're obviously not done. Oh, no!
We can do this.
Yeah, so if you're interested in playing the D sides, definitely save this one for last once you're warmed up and stuff.
Warmed up, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shoutouts to like the modding community and Aid who did the mod launcher and
Yeah, I guess, yeah, obviously
Like
first
this.
shoutouts to Moni. Oh, nice.
yeah. There
Coming
we go.
soon. Nice.
Coming soon, TM. I can't wait.
Do you want to do shoutouts?
Yeah, so like, I mean, shoutouts to the modding community, like Aid and the guys who made Ahorn, and yeah, and like obviously Moni for making the map packs. And I mean, I guess like half my family is watching this, so shoutouts to them. And yeah, I mean, just the Celeste community and for commentating, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyone I forgot?
I think that's all good.
All
and
the other
obviously-
Celeste guys that are with us here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But otherwise, we're done, I guess.